The 2025 NBA season is approaching, and as always on this channel, I am eager to publish my predictions for the final rankings for the season. This is how I believe everything will end up at the end of the year. I will order each team from worst to best and offer some reasons why I have them where I do. Obviously, you and I will not agree on everything, but that is okay. Let me know where I am wrong and let me know who you are rooting for down in the comments below. Also, please like the video as it helps me out a lot more than you guys realize. Now, let us dive in. Today, we are covering the Western Conference, and to start, the team I have finishing dead last will be the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland is one of 3 teams in the West that are truly content with missing out on the playoffs in 2025. Their biggest priority will be to develop their crop of young lottery pick talent for the purpose of either building around in the future or for trade bait. I expect to see Scoot Henderson bringing the floor a lot this year. Last year did not go well for the former top 3 pick. He was extremely predictable and ineffective with the ball in his hands, and his highly touted athleticism turned out to be not so special in the NBA. Scoot joins just Mateen Cleaves as only the second rookie since the year 2000 to average more than 5 turnovers and 5 fouls per 100 possessions while shooting below 42% from 2. That is some legendarily bad company. But on the bright side, as the year went on, he did find an outside shooting stroke. In the final 13 games of his rookie campaign, he knocked down an impressive 39% from deep. Though he is small at only 6'2", he may be best playing off-ball as a shooting guard as opposed to the point. He definitely has the length and strength to do it, but Portland doesn't really have a true one to use over him, so I don't think that is going to happen anytime soon. Alongside him, their new rookie Donovan Clingan is a really exciting piece to their puzzle. The massive 7'2" rim protector showed a lot of promise in the summer league. He has the length, strength, and IQ to be a good center in the NBA. Of course, the former number 1 overall pick DeAndre Ayton is ahead of him in the depth chart, which will likely lead to some interesting conflict as Ayton is a player who is focused on getting his offensively above all else. Currently, Ayton is a better player on one end, but Clingan is already a better player on the other. Then you have the other noteworthy young guys like Deni Avdija, who is extremely versatile, Shaedon Sharpe, who has shown some flashes but dealt with a lot of injuries, and Toumani Camara, who proved he could hang in the league last year despite barely getting drafted at all. Also, Jeremy Grant was given that massive contract last summer, so he is still taking up minutes and shots without helping a whole lot in the passing, rebounding, or defensive departments like he used to. Portland may have a bright future, but 2025 will be bad. Finishing 14th, a team that does not seem to know what they want to do, the Utah Jazz. 2 years ago, if Utah's front office would have just bought into the talent they already had, they probably would be a consistent playoff team for now 3 straight years, which would have been an uber impressive feat given that they were blowing up their core of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. But because the team keeps overperforming, the front office keeps making small moves to make them worse. They found themselves in this no man's land of being bad but not terrible. The West is an amazing conference, so 14th out of 15th may feel worse than it actually is. I think Utah will win more than Portland, Detroit, Brooklyn, Washington, and maybe even Charlotte. So the odds of them getting a top pick will be very slim and in my opinion not worth everything they are giving up. They have Lauri Markkanen on their team already. He is a star who can shoot the lights out from deep on a high volume, create shots in the mid-range over anyone, finish at the rim at an elite level, he rebounds well, and he can defend multiple positions. It doesn't make sense to me to keep drafting players hoping to get the next Markkanen. You have Markkanen. Alongside him are fellow non-tankers. Colin Sexton, he's a special point guard just entering his prime, who has proven himself all throughout his career that he can lead an NBA team, he can score and he can create. John Collins gets a lot of criticism, but he is a good rim attacker and he rebounds bigger than he is. Jordan Clarkson is a pro shot creator and scrappy defensive player. And Walker Kessler seems to have a questionable standing on the team because they play him in the summer league every year, but to everyone on the outside, he's a good rim protector and rebounder. Utah wants to see their not yet ready young players get lots of minutes above all else, which is going to cost them to get a lot of losses, and it's going to be very frustrating because they have a good team, they just are choosing to be bad for some reason. I don't know what Utah's ultimate goal is. I don't know if they're going to try to trade these older guys. It's just a lot of question marks with this team. Finishing 13th, a popular dark horse pick, but it's just too much of a reach for me at this point. I have the San Antonio Spurs. In year one, Victor Wembanyama proved he was a top 25 talent in the NBA. He was arguably the best defensive player in the league last year, especially in the second half. His offensive game is also well beyond his years, and his strength and confidence have been increasing rapidly every single day, and we saw that on display over the summer with the French national team at the Olympics as they got a silver medal, defying the odds. Wembanyama is going to be a better player in 2025. I think he's going to win the Defensive Player of the Year award and finish top 5 in MVP voting. It's just going to be the team's success that holds them back from actually winning that award. A big reason for the quality of life improvement for Wembanyama this year will be the addition of Chris Paul at the point guard role. CP3 is one of the best shot creators the league has ever seen. Even in his old age, his ball handling and passing remain as sharp as ever. Trey Jones, the backup one, will also take a big step forward, learning from the point guard himself and getting more reps next to Wemby. On the wings, Devin Vassell is an excellent young player who gets overshadowed but should not be overlooked, and I bet Keldon Johnson will re-find his stride after a rough season a year ago. Plus, they have Jeremy Sohan, who gets a lot of criticism, but he is a hard-working, scrappy, do-it-all type of player, and I have a lot of fun watching him play. I expect San Antonio to fight for a play-in spot all year long. From this point on, we only have win-now teams, so I know I'm going to make some fan bases upset because, this team in their eyes thinks they're trying to win a championship, but in my eyes, I don't think they're going to make the play-in. Finishing 12th, I have the LA Lakers. Last year was probably the last time we were ever going to see both Anthony Davis and LeBron James healthy and available all year long. Both guys not only appeared in over 70 games, but they also looked like superstars doing it. I had them both finish in my top 10 players of the year, but the odds of them doing that again are extremely low. In case you have not heard, Father Time remains undefeated. LeBron will be 40 this year, and AD is now 31 and has only broken 60 games once in the last 4 years. They need the other guys to step up, but they just do not have a lot of good talent in those other guys. The LA ownership is a family-inherited business, and if you know anything about second-generation businesses, you would know most of them fail miserably. Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell are solid lead guards who can create and shoot, but they leave a lot on the table defensively. And Rui Hachimura shot the ball really well last year, but his defense is weak, and he showed a very concerning attitude problem at the Olympics with the Japanese national team. And then from there, the talent truly does fall off a cliff. Do you remember all the conversation about the Lakers refusing to trade their first-round pick that eventually ended up being Jalen Hood-Schifino? That was a mistake. This year's first-round selection, Dalton Knecht, is probably going to be a better player, but I don't think his ceiling is super high. I think of him more of like a Jaime Jaquez type player, but with a better three-point shot. And of course, we can't not talk about Wonder Boy himself, LeBron James Jr., who has made the NBA. This team is going to be a spectacle full of juicy drama all year long. Finishing 11th and also missing the playoffs to the dismay of many rabid fans, I have the Golden State Warriors. This offseason has already gone down in history for Golden State basketball as a very sad one. The end of the Big Three era is now, and we enter the Stephen Curry and Draymond Green saga. Of course, Curry is still one of the greatest to ever do it. He will be what he is. He will make the All-Star team, probably be an All-NBA player, and he will single-handedly win some close games with his big shot making. But the roster around him has some very serious issues. Draymond is not what he used to be, but he still battles defensively, and if he knocks down his three-point shot like he did last year, that'd be nice. But you really can't rely on his production. I do like D'Anthony Melton and Brandon Podziemski as backup guards. Both of those two can create, defend, and shoot a little, but they need more than just a little. Buddy Hield is a good shooter, but he is a step down from Klay Thompson. I think Jonathan Kuminga's nice, but he's going to be playing behind Andrew Wiggins, and no one knows what the heck Andrew Wiggins is going to produce. And the biggest problem for the team in 2025 will be the fact that for some reason, they are still refusing to add a true center to their team. Kevon Looney does his best, but he is not a big enough or strong enough player to battle in the NBA in 2025. The 2010s was dominated by small ball and three-point shooting, but that's not because smaller players are better at basketball. That's because all the big players for that generation grew up playing 90s style basketball. Nowadays, all these big guys grew up playing like forwards and guards. You have Victor Wembanyama, Zach Edey, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo. The list goes on. Kristaps Porzingis. There's a lot of centers out there that the Warriors just don't have a body to throw on. The league is getting bigger now than ever before, and Golden State for some reason is not keeping up. That's why I don't have them making the playoffs. From this point on, the teams get really difficult to rank. You could honestly make a very convincing argument that any of these squads should be a top 4 team. I could be compelled with a strong enough case to question myself for months to come as the season plays out. But I needed to settle on something for this video, and this is my final order. Finishing 10th and barely making the play-in will be the Denver Nuggets. Oh, how the mighty have fallen, you may be saying within your head. Don't get me wrong, even with me putting Denver so low, I still believe Nikola Jokic will be a top 5 player in the league in 2025. I was thinking about it, and I have concluded that Nikola Jokic may be the greatest center to ever play the game, but we'll talk about that more in a different video. Jokic is a generational talent, but around him, Denver has just swung and missed over and over again. Jamal Murray has not looked good over the past 6 months, including the end of the regular season, playoffs, and Olympics. I'd be worried if I was a Denver fan after seeing him play. Aaron Gordon is a solid player, but he only does so much. He's an off-ball slasher to the rim who shoots a tiny little bit. Michael Porter Jr. shoots the ball really well, and that's all he does. And I do like Dario Saric as an upgrade to the backup center position, but that's a backup to your best player, and your best player needs to be on the court most of the time, so it's not that big of an improvement. Russell Westbrook in Denver doesn't make any sense. How many times do people have to rediscover that a hot-headed point guard who can't shoot and commits too many turnovers is a bad thing? Christian Braun is maybe their only useful recent draft pick, but he barely really does anything. And that's pretty much it. I don't think anyone else is even worth talking about on this team. Denver has serious issues with scouting and allowing their players to walk for nothing. Front offices that win rings often go through a period of rose-tinted glasses, but I think it is this year that people start to panic and question what is going on in the Mile High City. Finishing 9th, the New Orleans Pelicans. Can you believe that we are now in year 6 of the Zion Williamson era, yet he has never appeared in a playoff game? In fact, Zion has appeared in less than 50% of all possible regular season games in his career. Zion is a unit. When he has the ball in the half court, there is practically nobody who can reliably stop him. If he doesn't just score a layup, he will almost certainly draw a foul. But I think it has been proven that the 6'6", 300-pound teenager who relied on explosive athleticism was not built for an 82-game NBA season. He has slimmed down a little over the past year, but he still can't shoot very well. He doesn't rebound very well. His once elite athleticism has been severely hampered due to injury, and he doesn't offer much on defense. There was a lot more negative than I thought I was going to bring up because he's still a great player. When Zion is healthy, there is games that leave teams beside themselves watching him score over and over in such a predictable yet unstoppable way. But him being so one-dimensional very well may limit his potential, kind of like Ben Simmons. New Orleans has built a strong team around Zion that holds their own well in the brutal West when he's injured, but they need him on the court to be their best, and he's just so often injured. I think DeJounte Murray will be a valuable addition to the team as he gives them a true point guard who can shoot, attack the rim, and defend the perimeter. Not to say anything negative about CJ McCollum, he is also a pretty good point guard himself, but he's better as a shooter and a passer off ball. I really like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy as shooters and versatile defenders, and I like Jose Alvarado as a scrappy backup one. But Brandon Ingram does not fit. He is a pure shot creator. He does not work well off ball. He does not put forth enough effort defensively. He does not want to play alongside a team's number one. He wants to be the number one. Also, why on earth does this team not have a center who can space the floor? You have Zion, a man who has one single skill that he does better than almost anyone else in basketball. They need 4 guys who can give him space so he can do that one skill, and yet they are opting for Yves Missi and Daniel Tice. That doesn't make any sense. If New Orleans can move Ingram for a stretch 5 and Zion can play 70 games, they will be contenders, genuine contenders in the West. But if those 2 things don't happen, they might not even make the play-in. I think the Pelicans have a really high ceiling, but also a pretty pathetic floor. Finishing 8th, the Houston Rockets. Last year, the Rockets made an exciting push for the play-in tournament, but ultimately fell short in the tough Western Conference. This year, I believe they'll build on that momentum they had and make the necessary improvements to reach the postseason. Fred VanVleet will have a significant impact on the court as a leader alongside veterans Steven Adams and Dillon Brooks, keeping the team focused off the court and providing consistent production on the court throughout the long regular season. I also expect journeyman Jock Landale to see more minutes this year. His performance with the Australia national team always showcases his value as a scrappy rebounder and finisher inside, which I hope we will get to see him do more in the NBA. But the biggest talking point for Houston is their promising young talent. Jalen Green broke out last season, improving his long-range shooting and showing off his athleticism and passing. He just may push for an all-star nod if the Rockets can remain competitive all year long. Alperen Sengun, meanwhile, has made massive strides in his brief career, playing like a point center with elite court vision. I hope that we can see him and Green develop better chemistry together, as inarguably they both performed better without the other one last year. Also, from this most recent draft, I am particularly excited to watch rookie Reed Sheppard. He had an incredible college three-point shooting season, knocking down over 50% of his long balls while displaying advanced playmaking abilities and some extreme confidence. I also see potential in Amen Thompson, who could become a force to be reckoned with like his twin brother Asar, if they can figure out three-point shooting. And I want to mention Cam Whitmore, as he had a solid rookie year, and it'll be cool to see how he develops in year 2. Overall, while Houston's peak talent may not be as much as like the 3 past teams I just talked about, I think their depth is better, and I think the whole team together just works a little better. Finishing 7th, the LA Clippers. We have entered a new era in Clipper history. They are no longer renting the Lakers Stadium, as they now officially have their own home. And their extremely wealthy owner went all out, creating one of the most futuristic stadiums I could not have imagined prior to seeing. This franchise, I believe, is destined for many years to be a new top dog in the LA area. But 2025 unfortunately won't be a superb year, as one of their most valuable players walked away for nothing over the summer. Paul George just left them, meaning LA has essentially given away, here's a list, Paul George, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Jaime Jaquez, and a whole slew of other draft picks not yet realized, for nothing. That right there is devastating and might just be the worst trade in NBA history. Right now, their roster is a hodgepodge of players we have seen try and fail to accomplish their goals. Kawhi Leonard is awesome, but relying on Kawhi Leonard's availability is just foolish. James Harden has been on a very steep decline in production, and himself has become injury-plagued in his later years due to an entire career of not taking care of his body. And PJ Tucker is getting paid $11 million and being asked to stay home. But even with those negatives, Leonard and Harden are still good players. Norman Powell is a reliable big-time shooter in a reserve role. Ivica Zubac is a solid big body, playing defense on the inside. Nicholas Batum remains a very useful do-it-all player. Mo Bamba is a rim protector and floor spacer. And newcomer Derrick Jones Jr. will be counted on for his defense and rim finishing. LAC has a lot of negative press right now for very good reason, but they still have very good players on their team. And if they're healthy, this could be one of the best teams in all of basketball. I just don't think they're going to be healthy. I imagine they will become a premier free agency destination in the years to come, but 2025 is going to be a hard one. Finishing 6th, the Sacramento Kings. Last year did not go how they wanted, but 2025 is a new opportunity, and this bunch is eager to build upon what they started 2 years ago. Using Domantas Sabonis as the central hub of their offense in the half court works really well. Sabonis passes expertly. He sets great screens, he reads defenses well, he can bully anyone in the post, and he can step out to shoot, which creates space for even easier looks to his teammates. Every team wants to have a guy like Sabonis in the middle. And he has a good cast of guards and wings to set up around the rim. De'Aaron Fox and newcomer DeMar DeRozan are both athletic and creative scorers inside the arc, and they have been trending in the right direction with their outside shooting in recent years. And their cast of good to great shooters in Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray, and Keon Ellis will all be sure to capitalize on their shot attempts. I also am especially interested in seeing how year one goes for Devin Carter, who I thought, even as an upperclassman undersized point guard, was good enough to be selected in the top 4 of this draft, so him falling all the way down to 13 was a gift to Sacktown. If his outside shot can translate to the NBA quickly, then this team will become just that much more deadly on offense. But I do worry about their interior presence on both ends of the floor, as Sabonis is a top 10 player in the league, but he is not well known for his one-on-one defense or rim protecting abilities. And their lone backup big is Alex Len, who I have thought was on his way out of the league for the last 4 years. He's very slow and he doesn't really have any sort of offensive bag. If they fail to sign any other bigs, or even just bigger forwards because all they have is Trey Lyles in that role, I think they're going to have a hard time stopping other teams from scoring. Also, they took the 4th fewest percentage of their own looks within 3 feet of the rim last year. If you remove Sabonis from that equation, they would be dead last. It doesn't matter how good your outside shooting is, the most consistent points in basketball are layups. The team needs to address this imbalance in their roster construction if they want to contend. Otherwise, they will be an extremely streaky bunch. Finishing 5th, the Minnesota Timberwolves. 2 years ago, the popular thing to say about the T-Wolves was how bad Rudy Gobert was. And sure, they probably gave up too much to land a defensive specialist, but the results have spoken for themselves. Gobert, once again, silenced his critics throughout the regular season, protecting the rim at an elite rate and winning his 4th Defensive Player of the Year award. He was the primary reason that Minnesota's relative team defensive rating has improved a staggering 6 points in 2 years. In the playoffs, Gobert even continued to play well as he was instrumental to them pushing all the way to the conference finals, which was only the 2nd time in history that they made it that far. He should be counted on to replicate similar production in 2025, but it will be the other guys who will either push the team further or not. Last year, Anthony Edwards pretty much took all the Ja Morant hype from 2 years ago. A young, immature American hyperathlete who the kids can relate to. Edwards has improved a ton on the court over his career and is one of the best offensive guards in the league at this point. But his defensive effort and IQ have impressed me the most, as it's those little details that push him from being just a highlight producer to a true superstar talent. Naz Reid also has quickly become a basketball fan favorite. He would be a top 15, maybe even top 10 starting center in the league if he didn't have Gobert in front of him. But I do have to mention that the team just recently made a blockbuster deal sending out Karl Anthony Towns in exchange for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. This move really surprised me, as it appears to be way more of a money-saving deal than actually one that elevates the team. I do really like DiVincenzo as an off-ball shooter and perimeter defensive hound, but his production will need to increase for him to outweigh what Towns gave them a year ago. And the Randle addition I just simply do not like. He is one of the best basketball players in the league that nobody actually wants on their team. He just does not play well off the ball. He does not move in the half court. He does not shoot well enough to justify his high shot attempts, and his defensive ability is far behind his peers. Towns was a better defensive player in pretty much every metric last year, which says a lot. Beyond these guys, I like Mike Conley as a floor general. Everyone is hoping Jaden McDaniels can become a bigger producer on the wing alongside Edwards. And keep an eye on rookie Rob Dillingham. Minnesota traded into the lottery. Who landed this guy? Rob was at one time considered to be the best player in his draft class, but at 19 years old, the undersized point guard had better develop quickly if the T-Wolves want to capitalize on this Gobert and Conley window they are in. Finishing fourth, the Memphis Grizzlies. Last year was a nightmare for Memphis, and it all revolved around their franchise player Ja Morant making boneheaded decisions off the court. He had risen from Zion's shadow to become the face of American basketball, and he was set to make unimaginable riches while leading a small market to national fame with a fan base that adored him and teammates that loved playing alongside him. But he squandered most of that by hanging out with bad crowds off the court and getting himself suspended on 2 separate occasions, not to mention other investigations currently going on behind the scenes. Then, when he finally made his long-awaited return last year, his high-flying and ultra-aggressive playstyle caused him to sustain a serious injury that ended his brief season right away. You know he is looking to redeem what he lost in the 2025 season. If Morant can put the past behind him, then Memphis will be a team to fear. Alongside him are a cast of valuable role players who fit together very well. Desmond Bane is an offensive stud who can create and knock down jump shots from deep. Jaren Jackson Jr. is best used as a rim-protecting and lob-catching specialist who on occasion spaces the floor. Marcus Smart is a defensive hound around the perimeter. Luke Kennard, when healthy, is one of the most reliable shooters in the sport. Santi Aldama reminded the world during the Olympics just how versatile an offensive player can be. And Brandon Clark is an explosive athlete off the bench. I also am incredibly excited to see how Zach Edey performs in his rookie year. Very few college player of the years get much respect by NBA scouts and draft analysts, especially those who play the 5. But Edey has shown he can run the floor as well as any other big in the league. His strength is already NBA level, and his defense looks beyond his years. Plus, the most important category of them all, it appears his confidence is sky high. You know he is eager to prove the naysayers wrong in 2025. One other guy I want to mention is Yuki Kawamura. As of me preparing this video, he remains on the training camp roster. It would be really cool to see him get some court time this year, even if it is just a 2-way deal. I made a video breaking down his career and playstyle 2 years ago, before the recent hype started picking up. I never really thought he was going to actually get a chance in the league, but here he is, and I think that is really stinking cool. Memphis is a scrappy bunch of guys who believe in themselves and are starving to play meaningful basketball. 2025 will be a fun year for this team. Finishing third, the Dallas Mavericks. Last year's Western Conference champion got better in 2025, so you probably are wondering why I have them finishing third and not first. But to make it simple, I believe internal drama, on-court hot-headedness, and poor coaching are what will hold this team back during the regular season. Last year, Maverick fans were advocating for Jason Kidd to be fired seemingly every other week. When things are going bad in Dallas, they go very bad. And Kidd has shown time and time again that he does not know how to manage it. And it all starts with Luka Doncic, who is a top 3 player in the world. But he has shown extreme immaturity night in and night out. If he feels a foul should or should not have been called, he will not forget about it, and it often leads to technical fouls or just general lack of focus that throws off his game. Luka is a generational talent, but too often does he let the game bring him misery. And his co-star Kyrie Irving himself is a potential problem in a completely different way. Over the past 5 years, we have seen Kyrie only reach the 60-game mark in the regular season a single time. Whether it be injury or some off-the-court issue that is impossible to predict, Kyrie misses a lot of basketball. When these two share the court, they are a nightmare for the defense, but when something outside of the defense throws off their game, they fall apart. This year, Dallas is hoping that Klay Thompson can take a load off of them. He is a far more reliable player than Tim Hardaway Jr. ever was. Of course, he too displayed some distracting on-court antics these past couple of years, so hopefully he can mature and move on from that. But all these guys are a bit older, so I'm not really sure. Well, Luka's not that old, but he's not young either. I think this is just how these guys are. The saviors to these ticking time guards, though, is the ultra-stable and reliable big men this team has. Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, and now second year and future star Derek Lively are all looking to build upon their career years. I believe Lively will make a compelling argument to be named to the all-defensive team in 2025. They need more production from their forward positions, though. But when you look at the sure-thing talent they have, it is really hard to find any on-court basketball weaknesses. Dallas will be a force this year. I just hope they can keep their focus on basketball. Finishing second, the Phoenix Suns. Last year, Phoenix had 3 major issues that plagued them through their 86-game regular season and playoff. The first was injuries to Bradley Beal. Beal was brought on to be their third amigo who could create space for his teammates and knock down shots both on the catch and off the dribble. But it seemed like every week he experienced another new nagging injury that either kept him sidelined or forced him to play hobbled. This is another year though, so hopefully Beal will recapture his once special durability from his early years. Their second issue was the point guard role, or lack thereof. The team mostly just used Devin Booker in that spot, and though he is inarguably really good at playing the point guard role, he managed 27 points and 6 assists per game last year. You could tell he is playing out of position, and the team was not getting the best version of him. Booker excels next to a true point guard. His best years were with Ricky Rubio, followed by Chris Paul. Now in 2025, the Suns landed Tyus Jones, an under-the-radar addition, but Tyus is one of the best true point guards in the league. His assist-to-turnover ratio led the entire NBA by a very wide margin at 7. And he can space the floor at an elite rate of 41%. And he knows how to bring out the best from his star teammates, as every team he plays for does better with him than without. And their last issue that has been fixed is their depth. Behind their big 3 of Booker, Beal, and Kevin Durant, they had a solid big man in Jusuf Nurkic, an elite shooting Grayson Allen, and that was it. Now this year with Tyus Jones, it means Allen can come off the bench and be maybe a more prolific shooter in a reserved role. Royce O'Neal looks to provide defense and floor spacing. Mason Plumlee gives them a high-quality, versatile, and athletic backup center. Monty Morris gives them shooting and shot creation ability as a backup point guard. And Damian Lee returns from injury and looks to continue his elite three-point shooting career. Plus, the Suns' 2 rookies, Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro, have looked great in the preseason. I am really looking forward to watching this version of the Suns in 2025. I just hope they take every game seriously. Don't say it's time to get serious at game 80 again. But they are not my pick to finish at the top of the West in the regular season standings. In that spot, as you probably can guess, I'm going with the Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC already had one of the best teams in the league last year, but this go-around they got even better. At the 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be looking to claim the league's MVP award, as he will surely dominate every game, especially on the offensive end. His bag of tricks with the ball in his hand seems to be ever growing, and his offensive IQ and understanding of the passing lanes and how to read defenses has only gotten better with age. I have him making the All-NBA first team at a minimum in 2025. Next to him, Jalen Williams is also looking to burst onto the scene. Entering his 3rd year, J-Dub is already an elite defensive hound, he's a great ball handler, and he is an elite shooter. These two are so well-rounded and hungry for on-court success, I don't think any other duo in the league truly wants it more. Then at the forward spot, Chet Holmgren will finally get to play his ideal position. The second coming of Kevin Durant displayed an unreal level of confidence, maturity, and offensive creation ability in his rookie year. Chet can create high-quality looks over anybody in the league, and defensively, his length and IQ are as good as it comes. These 3 are all going to be all-stars in 2025. but it is the 2 moves beyond them that pushes this team to the unquestionable top of the West. Alex Caruso is the upgrade they desperately needed in the backup guard role. He is a defensive specialist who improved his three-point shooting to an elite rate last year. Plus, being a veteran with championship experience, he will bring meaningful veteran leadership to this young team. And at the 5, we have an actual 5. Isaiah Hartenstein is not anyone's first pick as a starting center, but he is hardworking, big, and smart. iHart should immediately be in the OKC starting lineup, and though he won't produce very much, his presence will make the life of everyone around him much easier thanks to his screen setting, boxing out, and just general defensive presence. Plus, there are still so many other noteworthy young role players that I think could have a breakout year. I like Lu Dort as a defensive hound. I really like Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins as they are terrific floor spacers. Cason Wallace looked really good his rookie year. Jay Will is a solid big body backup 5, and rookie Nikola Topic just may be the best member of his draft class who only fell because he was dealing with an injury. He could end up being something very special. The Oklahoma City Thunder are arguably the best basketball team on the planet. They will win the most games in the 2025 regular season amongst the Western Conference, and they will have a good shot at winning it all. Thank you guys for watching my preseason prediction video. I really appreciate your support and hope you subscribe for more future basketball related content. Please like the video if you have not already, and let me know down below in the comments your complete 1 through 15. I will see you all next time.